Kids of back in my day parents, what's the most annoying thing they ranted about? My stepdad was a newspaper boy at 14. I wasn't able to get a job until 16 and heard about it every day until then. People don't want to and can't hire under 16 most places, and if they do and can, then you're doing literally nothing because of the child labor laws. My mother would try and claim my siblings and I were lazy because when she was 14 she used to come home from school, walk the dogs and dance all night. Turned out this translated to she would go out drinking and clubbing and a rage. The most annoying thing to me is how my parents complain that nobody from my community speaks our native language anymore. They say back in my day, everyone spoke our language and today none of you kids can. Guess what? The adults never taught it. It wasn't used in the homes. So how the fuck are we supposed to learn it? And then I have people from the home country call me and speak and I'm like, you know, I barely understand. I can speak better than my siblings, but not that much better. And they yell at me. Don't blame me, blame my parents. And my parents and my friends' parents, they can all blame themselves and not their children. Back in their day, only complete losers had cars in high school. According to them, the cool guys were on the school bus with all the pretty girls. And they told me that shit with straight faces. So that was a fucking lie. That their parents were way stricter and more overbearing. So we had no room to complain. My dad always did this. Denied any criticism of his parenting because his dad was stricter on him than he is with me, and yet he'd also constantly brag and reminisce about shenanigans he got away with as a teenager, like stealing his dad's car, stealing his dad's beer and cigarettes, disappearing for a few days with friends, partying every weekend, drinking and doing drugs at 16, getting into fights, ditching school, etc. Meanwhile, I never went out, never rebelled, never spoke to friends outside of school, never skipped class, never went partying, never touched alcohol. Heck, I didn't even know what weed smelled like. But apparently I'm the menace/brat who doesn't respect his father. Bruh. My grandparents. You can't trust anybody in this world anymore. Back in my day there were no rapes or murders. Everyone was nice and cared for each other. No one hurt each other. First of all, that's a fucking lie. There were rapes and murders and horrible people back in your day. You just never heard of them because A, they went unreported to the police, B, you didn't have TV and shit to report on them, C, you just never paid attention and pretended it didn't exist. My grandma also tries saying stuff like, oh, such and such city is dangerous. You can't ever go there. Any place can be dangerous. There have been murders and huge heroin problems just miles from my house. But the news only likes to report on the exciting problems in exciting areas. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen everywhere. OMG, my grandma is exactly the same. She literally was telling me how evil the world is today with all the rapists and child molesters, and then later that same day started telling me about how her sister was touched by their uncle for years. Absolutely baffles me. Apparently there was actual shit you could buy for a quarter. Like, great. There's not anymore. What significance does this have to me? Nothing. Thoughts so absolutely love when they completely discount the effects of inflation too. In 1970, a quarter was worth $1.65 in today's money. A quarter? I'm so old I remember penny candy at the corner store. A quarter's worth would last you a week. Australian here. My dad, born in 1956, remembers when you could buy a meat pie from the school canteen for a sixpence. We changed to dollars and cents in 1966. Sixpence was worth about 5 cents. My dad and uncle/aunt like to rant about how young people don't have any honesty or work ethic. My oldest and youngest uncle made moonshine. My middle uncle stole cars. My dad built moonshine running cars out of the parts, and my aunt ran off with a 50-year-old sugar daddy at 15. It took the car stealing uncle going to jail to straighten them out. My landlord summed it up nicely. You kids would have gotten shot for pulling half the stuff I did at your age. Damn, that's real. Respectable wisdom too. Well, they had some kind of ethics, just not the legal kind. My grandma hates computers and insisted that I continue practicing my cursive, which sucked ass because I would have to write all of my high school/college essays in cursive like she did. Same with my mom. Joke's on them now. My handwriting is the bastard child of print and cursive, unless I write really slow, and computers are a thing. Edit. This is what this abomination looks like. It's a bit neater since I was taking notes for an online course, but I'll slip into half cursive with some words, and some letters I do on cursive because it's faster, like F. If I'm taking notes in a class it gets worse. Lol, I have dysgraphia. Spelling. It's the writing version of dyslexia, only took till 8th grade for them to figure out that I'm not refusing to write in cursive. I literally fucking can't. Having to listen to the getting to school and back stories. I know damn well that you didn't walk 10 kilometers in snow that reaches your waist, through a forest with wolves, and no proper winter boots. We had one pair of shoes to share between the 7 of us. I got them on Thursdays. We used to live in one room, all 126 of us, no furniture. Half the floor was missing. We were all huddled together in one corner for fear of falling uphill both ways while carrying 60 pounds of textbooks with no backpack, and it was uphill both ways, and we had to wrap barbed wire around our feet for traction. And don't forget the bear they had to fight every day. Mother, back in my day, nobody believed you when you got molested. I was molested. Me gets molested. Mother, that's not funny to lie about. I don't want to hear about it again. This is a serious issue and you're mocking it. The most annoying thing they rant about is us not providing our kids the same life they had. My great-grandparents owned several thousand acres at the turn of the century. They passed down land, heirloom furniture, or thriving farm, etc. The next generation split that all up. Sold a lot of it to start their own business. The next generation the same. The last little plot of that is my mom's acre. Each generation inherited less and less. I will inherit nothing. I got no land to start my family with. Unlike them, no heirloom furniture, no money, nothing. My family looks down on me and my cousins for struggling, pretending they worked harder than we do, but they'll never know how hard our generation works for our kids. There's a saying that goes something like this: the first generation works, the second generation maintains, the third generation blows it all away, and the fourth generation works to get it back. And then the cycle repeats with the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, and so on generations until there is pretty much nothing left from the first generation. Got yelled at when I quit a job in college that paid $8/HR. I made $3 hour when I was your age. I would have killed to make that. Something inflation. Quit after I realized the money I made in a month would barely pay for one of my textbooks, and I was taking 18 credits and didn't have enough time to actually read them seriously. It's nothing now, but when Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown was made, Sally asking for 10s and 20s for Christmas was ridiculous. Dad, back in my day, if your dad made a joke about you and you make one back, he'd take you out back and beat you for disrespect. Me, that doesn't seem respectable. Beating people who you don't like up. Didn't you teach me to not do that? Dad, that was extremely disrespectful, and in my day I would have whipped you with my belt for that. Dial phones. They complained about how kids these days, specifically my brother and I, don't know how to use them, after forgetting we had one in the house until I was 7, and I know full well how to use one. My boss refuses to believe I know how to read a map, like an actual folding paper map, drive a manual transmission car, change a tire, operate a VCR. Okay, r/pata revenge time. Steal your boss manual transmission car, drive it somewhere, remove the tires, put the tires in the proper position in their parking spot, and have a map marked with where the car's up on blocks. And the kicker, record it on an old camcorder, like the ones where the VHS tape is inserted into the camera. That's slightly more than petty. Do it.